idam,
this, Krishnam, entire, Eka, by one, Amshena, part, Ita, am situated, Jagat, universe. Translation. For what need is there, Arjun, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Purport. The Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universes by his entering into all things as the Supersoul. The Lord here tells Arjuna that there is no point in understanding how things exist in their separate opulence and grandeur. He should know that all things are existing due to Krishna's entering them as Supersoul. From Brahma, the most gigantic entity, on down to the smallest ant, all are existing because the Lord has entered each and all and is sustaining them. So there's more to the purport, but I think I should make some comments rather than read the whole thing, and I'm not going to remember it all. I won't. It's likely most of us won't. Okay, translation again. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nivasesa Sunyavadi Prastachade Satarane. So the Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universe by his entering into all things as the Supersoul. So Krishna is present everywhere, as Alanath was saying yesterday, how he's in each atom. He's in each atom, he's between each atom, and he's the Supersoul in every living being. The Supersoul is there even in the coronavirus. As Krishna is in there. Krishna is in our heart. And Krishna is also directing us. He's instructing us. I think the animals, he's not really giving them much advice. But for the human being, he is. He's our conscience. Let your conscience be your guide. Your conscience is telling you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And some people are able to hear their conscience better than others. Some people have become completely dull and don't listen at all to the Supersoul. But the Supersoul, nonetheless, is with those people also, trying to help them. It's like Srila Prabhupada's trying to help so many people and helped so many people. He was never satisfied. He would be satisfied if the whole universe was Krishna conscious. Then he'd have to go on to another universe. But he was always preaching Krishna consciousness to everyone, and many people took to it and many people didn't. But the individual soul has that choice, and the Supersoul is there trying to help him. Why don't you listen to this man? Why don't you serve this man? Why don't you take one of these books? Why don't you read one of these books? So the Supersoul is instructing everyone, depending on our desires too. Prabhupada says he's even instructing the thief who wants to steal something, and then he'll say, look, there's an opportunity here to steal something. He'll give him advice even if he wants to steal, if that's his desire. But he's also given us good instructions, especially if we're sincere and we want to do the right thing, then we can follow Krishna within our heart. Once a devotee asked Prabhupada, when you leave, this was way before he left, when you leave the planet, when you depart, how will we know what to do? Will we just follow the dictates of Supersoul in our heart? And Prabhupada's answer was, yes, if you're pure. So if you're pure, you can know what Krishna is telling you at every moment. Just like Krishna was telling Arjuna, to shoot this person, cut off this guy's head, don't let it fall down, shoot it into this person's lap, giving him instructions. And Arjuna was following all these instructions. So Krishna is also in everyone's heart, giving us all instructions. And if we're pure, we can hear those instructions. And sometimes we hear those instructions. We actually become real sincere. We may get pure for like a few moments and we can hear something that Krishna is telling us. But most of the time, or a lot of the time, we're kind of covered over and we don't hear what Krishna is telling. And the spiritual master is an external representation of Supersoul. So the guru, the bona fide guru, is telling you exactly what Krishna in your heart is telling you. But because we're not pure, he comes and is the special mercy of Krishna. And he tells us what the Super Soul is telling us. So we follow those instructions, and that also helps us become pure so we can hear the Super Soul more. Okay. I have more to read. But before I do, does anyone have any questions on what I said or read? Okay, I'll take that as a no. I'll read the next, well, maybe not the whole paragraph, but some of it. There is a mission that regularly propounds that worship of any demigod will lead to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the supreme goal. So I'm not sure exactly which mission this is, but must be a famous mission. People in India may know about it from maybe it was older because the mission is capitalized. So there is a mission. So it's some famous mission that they propound that the worship of any demigod will lead one to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the supreme goal. It's possible, worshiping the demigods is better than not worshiping anyone, but it's not necessarily going to lead you to Krishna. But at least it leads you to the point of accepting some authority. It's better than the complete atheist who doesn't believe in anything. At least you're accepting some authority. So if you accept the authority of the Vedas, maybe you'll understand that even when you're worshiping the demigods, every different particular process of worshiping a different demigod is included in worshiping Vishnu. There's something included in also worshiping Vishnu. So you may come to at least realize that that's the important part. You can't get anywhere unless you worship Vishnu. But there is a group of people, and there are many people in India who worship demigods. So they worship Ganesh because they want to become successful materially, their business to be a success. But that is not the goal of life. Even if you become the richest person in the world, then you die. What's the use of it? So this is about people saying, if you regularly worship any demigod, it will lead one to the Supreme Personality of God at the supreme goal. But worship of demigods is thoroughly discouraged herein because even the greatest demigods like Brahma and Shiva represent only part of the opulence of the Supreme Lord. He is the origin of everyone born, and no one is greater than him. He is asamodra, which means that no one is superior to him and that no one is equal to him. In the Padma Purana, it is said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Krishna in the same category with demigods, be they even Brahma or Shiva, becomes at once an atheist or prashandi. Other places says he becomes a prashandi, which means atheist. So to consider the names of the demigods to be equal to or independent of the holy name of Lord Vishnu or Krishna is an offense to the holy name, to the chanting of the holy names. There's no question of it being equal. There's no comparison. where was I hearing about comparison? Recently a class, where you can compare things that are similar. Things that are not similar, like we can't compare ourselves with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's no comparison. Something that's infinitesimal with something that's infinite, how do you compare? So the demigods are infinitesimal. At least all of the demigods, Lord Shiva is a little different but he's still not equal to Krishna, but he's greater than all the other demigods because he's the category of Shiva Tattva. All the other demigods are Jiva Tattva. Although there are some instances where there's no Brahma, qualified Brahma, and then Krishna takes the position of Brahma, but that's Krishna doing it. It's not just a living entity, but that's, as long as they can find someone qualified, they get to do the job. In ISKCON, even if you don't have anyone qualified, either nobody does it or someone unqualified does it. But as far as I know, Krishna has never come to take any position of temple president or GBC. But somehow or other, we can do something. Something is better than nothing. If, however, one thoroughly studies the different descriptions of the opulence and expansions of Krishna's energy, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Sri Krishna and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. It's really important. If we thoroughly study the different descriptions of the opulences and expansions of Krishna's energy, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Sri Krishna and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. This is really important. That's why the Bhagavatam, it says that you should read the first 9 cantos before you read the 10th canto, because in the 10th canto it speaks about different, maybe intimate pastimes with Krishna and the gopis, or even with the cowherd boys. And someone just jumping to that will misunderstand the greatness of Krishna and just think he's a mundane person like them and think he's just a lusty boy like they are. But, if you read the first 9 cantos, you get to understand the position of Krishna. Even somewhere here, even Mahavishnu is an emanation from Krishna, is an expansion from Krishna. Mahavishnu, all the universes emanate from his paws. If you can understand how great God is, and then when he's doing these things, then you can appreciate it more, that it's not some mundane thing. He's not attracted to anything material. He's the Supreme Lord. He's self-satisfied, but he gives pleasure to his devotees. So it's important to know of Krishna's greatness. And reading about these things in this chapter can help us to understand his greatness and can help us to understand how we can think of Krishna. Even the point is, we have to think of something. We're always thinking of something. So now how do we mold our life, Prabhupada said, in such a way that we think of Krishna? So one way is by hearing these scriptures. Prabhupada spent so much time writing these books, we can take advantage of it. And just by hearing about this helps mold our life in such a way so we can remember Krishna. I don't remember. Okay. The Lord is all pervading by the expansion of his partial representation, the super soul. Did I read this? Let me go back. I'm not sure where I'm up to. If, however, one thoroughly studies, yes, the different descriptions of the opulence and expansions of Krishna's energy, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Sri Krishna and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. The Lord is all pervading by the expansion of his partial representation, the Supersoul, who enters into everything that is. Pure devotees, therefore, concentrate their minds in Krishna consciousness in full devotional service. Therefore, they are always situated in the transcendental position. So if you're thinking of Krishna, you're always in the transcendental position. And devotional service means actually doing something practical for Krishna. But even when you say practical, thinking of Krishna is practical devotional service. But if we want to please the spiritual master, who is the representative of Super Soul in the heart, he's telling us what Krishna is telling us. He's engaging us in practical service for spreading Krishna consciousness. So we should help spread Krishna consciousness. If you have any ways of distributing books online, now would be a good time to do it. So devotional service and worship of Krishna are very clearly indicated in this chapter in verses 8 through 11. 8 through 11. These are the nutshell verses in the Bhagavad Gita. These 4 verses actually is the whole summary of the Bhagavad Gita in 4 verses. We'll go over that when I finish this purport, unless we have a lot of questions, which I doubt. That is the way of pure devotional service. How one can attain the highest devotional perfection of associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been thoroughly explained in this chapter. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, a great acharya in disciplic succession from Krishna, concludes his commentary on this chapter by saying, Yat Chakti Leshat Suryadya Bhavantyat Yugra Tejasaha Yad Amshena Dritam Vishvam Sa Krishna Dashame Richate. From Lord Krishna's potent energy, even the powerful sun gets its power. And by Krishna's partial expansion, the whole world is maintained. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is worshipable. So if you want to find someone worshipable, somebody who can supply the power to the sun is worshipable. Someone who can maintain all the worlds with just a partial expansion of himself is worshipable. So thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the opulence of the Absolute. So does anyone have any questions? We're going to unmute you in a minute. Yes? Okay, I hear people talking, but they're not talking loud enough for me to hear, but loud enough for knowing you're saying something. Anyone have a question?
So, Pyari, earlier you said Prabhupada said something when he was leaving his body. Is that what you said?
No. When he wasn't leaving his body, like a few years or so before he left his body, it wasn't like he was on his deathbed.
What did he say again?
The devotee asked him about when you die, will we follow the dictations of Super Soul within our heart to know what to do? Because right now you're telling us what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Prabhupada's answer was, if you're pure.
What happens if you're not pure?
Then you're not going to be able to know what Super Soul's telling you in your heart. But all of us we have some times we're actually following Super Soul. We're actually, meditating, and Krishna's getting through to us. But generally, it doesn't last like every moment of the day, like it would be for Srila Prabhupada. So what happens to the rest of us? We do what Prabhupada said. He gave us so many instructions. We follow them.
I remember Jiva saying something that the most important thing in your life comes to mind or something. Isn't that what you said, Jiva, one time?
Comes to mind?
Yeah, when you're leaving your body. Like, what is most important to you, or
Well,
the
it's just
significant?
when you're leaving your body, that your whole life goes before you, and sometimes, like Jagannath cart, you when you see that, it's like you forget everything else, and you just see that. I've heard some things like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
I've heard that Lord Chaitanya will come at the time of death and help you to remember him.
Right. If you have seen Jagannath on his rath, yeah, his cart, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully we can have a Rath Yatra this year.
I know. July, right?
Yeah.
Virtual one.
Virtual Rath Yatra.
Take them around the temple room.
Yeah, well, we can take them around the backyard. I have a wagon.
We can film it.
It may be in one in front of the other because it's not wide enough.
Do we have any festivals coming between now and July?
Any what?
Well, we got Ram Navami.
Ram Navami, yeah.
We can't do anything though. Okay,
Yeah.
any other questions on the verse? Purport? What I said? Somebody's saying something.
Anybody having cabin fever?
No.
No?
No.
Well, you're in the temple. Well, I guess our home should be a temple, but
So super soul and the individual soul are compared to two birds in a tree.
mm-hmm.
And the one is the witnessing bird, and the other is the one trying to enjoy the fruits in the tree.
Mm-hmm.
So the witnessing bird is waiting for the enjoying bird to turn to him. So my question is, what happens when that little bird, turns to his friend in the tree?
Well, then he starts tweeting.
Then he can
Now that's the tweet I'd like to see. I'm still waiting for that tweet, Pyari. Because I guess I haven't turned enough.
What happens then? Then he's inquiring, what's the purpose of life? Why am I here? I'm tired of these fruits. They're not making me happy.
So that signifies, I guess, his surrender. When he finally turns, he surrenders.
I don't know. Ever since this quarantine has happened, I'm like cooking up a storm and constantly eating something. So, I mean, obviously I'm offering it to Krishna, but we're eating well.
Well, I mean, I've read, I think you may have seen a thing I found where Prabhupada says, no one dies from not eating. They die from eating.
That's true. But didn't he also say that we are going to eat our way to Krishna?
Yeah, but you don't have to rush it.
You can starve to death.
Especially not at this time.
Yeah, of course, people starve to death. Yeah, but that's not like...
No, yeah, I know. I mean,
but in general, you don't die because you're not eating enough. You don't eat much. Prabhupada said that old men cannot eat too little and young boys cannot eat too much.
mm-hmm.
I guess old women may fit in the same category as the old men.
I need that brahmachari that Niranjan Maharaj spoke of.
Who's Moto E4?
Is that his name?
No. It's up here. Somebody's online. It says Moto E.
Yeah, I was wondering who Moto E4 was also.
Could Moto E4 please stand up?
Probably someone's phone.
They've got their speaker off.
Yeah.
You know what?
Okay.
Anyway, I don't want to hog all the questions. So.
Anyone else have a question?
Yeah, I have a question, Prabhuji.
Yes.
So, Prabhuji, you mentioned Guru is external manifestation of Super Soul.
Yes.
So, Guru means Shiksha Guru as well, right, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Okay. Not just a spiritual master, but the Shiksha. Okay.
Right.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Guru is one. All the gurus. They're one big guru. Well, they're all following, it's Balaram, so it's just Balaram, and they're just expansions of Balaram, so they're one.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Anyone else? I'm going to read the nutshell verses. Actually, we can all read them together if you'd like. We're going to read the Sanskrit. We'll just read the Sanskrit, then the 4 verses, then I'll read the English. Because if we all try reading the English, even the Sanskrit, people are saying it at different times. And I don't think we're necessarily saying it different times, but because of the internet connections we have maybe are at different speeds. So it sounds like we're saying it at different times. But anyway, we'll chant these 4 verses from text 8, Aham Savasya Prabhago. Is everybody ready?
Yes, Prabhuji.
A lot of people are muted. You can unmute for this if you'd like. Or you can stay muted. It's up to you. Okay. Aham Savasya Prabhago Matak Sav. Everyone chant the same time, simultaneously. Aham Savasya Prabhago Matak Savasya Iti Matra Bhajante Ma Buddha Bhava Samanditaha. Go to the next. Machita Madhyata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayantascha Mam Nityam Sushanti Chakramanti Cha Tesham Sadata Yuktanam Vajatam Priti-purvakam Tatami Yokam Tam Inamam Payanti Te Tesham Evanukam Partam Aham Agyana Tamaha Nasayami Atma Bhavasto Jnana Dipena Bhasvata. So those are the nutshell verses. Now I'm going to go over the English. I'm not going to read the purports because that takes a very long time. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. This is Krishna speaking. He's the source of not just the material worlds, but also the spiritual worlds. Everything that exists emanates from him. And the people who know this, those people are wise, who perfectly know this. What do? They engage in serving him with all their hearts. Next verse. What do the devotees think? The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So this is so beautiful, this verse. The thoughts of my pure devotees, they dwell in me. They're always thinking of me. And what do? Their lives are fully devoted to my service. They're serving him. We look at Prabhupada, he served Krishna. Sometimes he would serve Krishna preaching all day, and at night he'd have a little milk and puris. And he'd feel so happy that he was able to do this. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss from what? From it always enlightening one another and conversing about him. Or Krishna, he says me, but we're saying him. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Conversing about Krishna. We enlighten each other. It just tells how devotees are supposed to behave and think. The next verse. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So if you just start serving, and there is love, we may not feel like we love Krishna, but we have some love or we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. There's some love there. It may not be pure, but we do have some love for Krishna, and we're making some sacrifices for him because we love him. When you love somebody, you serve them, you do something for them. Those are the symptoms of love. So the more you're serving, the more you're actually loving Krishna. So to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. They may not know, but Krishna will tell you. He'll give you some understanding. Prabhupada also said, we have our plans and Krishna has his. So Prabhupada had plans on how to spread Krishna consciousness. Not all of his plans panned out. Not all of them were successful, but he had plans. But those were not Krishna's plans. But his plan, he knew Krishna wanted him to spread Krishna consciousness, so he tried different things. He tried preaching at the UN, the United Nations, and that didn't pan out. People, so it's really wonderful and amazing because at the United Nations, these are like the big shots in the world, and he's made some attempt for preaching to them. Then it's easy. What a great man does, common men will follow. If all these great personalities would become Krishna conscious, then the rest of the world would. But it worked totally opposite. He took the lowest people who were doing nothing with their lives, practically nothing, useless, mostly hippies, and took them and changed the world. He started from the bottom up. So that was really amazing that he can do it with people who didn't know how to do anything. Like one scholar was talking with the devotees and he couldn't figure them out until he met Prabhupada. But for instance, he said Prabhupada was so good at building their faith. Like one was going to start a magazine. Prabhupada asked him to start the Back to Godhead magazine. He never did. He never even put out a little mimeograph paper. He didn't know anything about it. And so he asked Prabhupada what to do. And Prabhupada says, just depend on Krishna. And he did it. So he brought the devotees into depending on Krishna and being successful in spreading Krishna consciousness. So Krishna gives the understanding by which we can come to him. And then this is the last one of the 4 nutshell verses. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So this shining lamp of knowledge can destroy all this darkness in our heart. And the way this shining lamp of knowledge is hearing, just hearing about Krishna. Okay, so we're going to try and see. We may end a little early if we don't have any questions. Well, I hear somebody talking. Anyone have any questions?
No, I have a comment. I mean, like you said, like Arjuna was made himself an instrument of Krishna, and that's why he could defeat this large army, that looked insurmountable.
Right.
So like you said, the hippies, I mean, none of them were experts at any particular thing, but they all became experts. It was unbelievable, actually, when you read.
There was a book, Atlas Shrugged. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It was a famous book. It's probably still a famous book, but there's a lot more books nowadays. Anyway, it's one of the rare books that I read. Rare in the sense that I read it.
Atlas what?
Shrugged. Atlas,
like a shrug of the shoulders?
Yes, like he's holding the planet and shrugged.
Okay.
Anyway, this is later on. I really like this lady's writing. I forget what her name is, but Ayn Rand. Yeah, I really liked the writing. And later, after I became a devotee, I find that I started to find out more. She's a complete atheist. But anyway, she wrote this. I'm just going to give you my summary of the book. I read this, 40 years ago, 40 some years ago. But it's about like the world there's a lot of problems in the world. And then all of a sudden, like the best pianist in the world disappears, and the best doctor in the world, and all these people who are just so amazingly great at what they do disappear. And then you find out that they all have gone. Somebody talked them into going to this. It was like a valley, but nobody can find it. Nobody can see it, but you can. This one guy said, and all these people are brought there voluntarily. They came there because everything was wrong, and they built a perfect society. And it was really nice, like how they can do this. I mean, the whole world was collapsing more and more without these people. Now, Prabhupada took people who did nothing, like you said, we're not good at anything in particular, not great.
Nothing, couldn't negotiate, nothing. Yes,
right. And they were young, very young, and they had no ability.
In some cases, stupid. Yeah.
Well, you can say that.
Oh, yeah, like when they were negotiating, they made such stupid mistakes that Srila Prabhupada...
It was more naive.
Naive. Okay, naive. Okay.
The most intelligent except Lord Chaitanya's movement. So you can't say they were stupid.
Yes, I think I meant naive. Yeah, very naive.
Simple,
Simple, yeah. Go ahead, Pierre.
They wound up changing the world. And these people, they just, because they had faith in Prabhupada and surrendered to him. They loved him because he loved them.
Yeah.
So it's so much greater than that book that was supposed to be so great. I wouldn't read it. Don't read it.
No, I'm not going to read it.
It's over 1,000 pages, too.
I'm reading Shamasundar's book, Chasing Rhinos with the Swami. Jiva, you must have read it, right? Already?
Yeah. Volume 2.
Yeah, I'm on volume 2 too. I'm almost about to finish it. It's amazing how he conquers just about anything that's insurmountable, Yeah. And that's why he calls like another rhino conquered,
Yeah.
It's impossible things become possible with these devotees who really don't have any particular experience,
Yeah.
I see Krishna working at pleasing Prabhupada. Prabhupada's given his life to Krishna, so he takes these people who are pretty much useless for anything and makes these things happen. Somehow Krishna gets involved. I don't know if Krishna personally gets involved. Krishna sends some representatives to make sure that everything works well, but amazing miracles happen.
Right.
Because that's what Prabhupada wanted. And Prabhupada, what he wanted was just to spread Krishna consciousness, nothing for himself. So Krishna satisfied his desires. He wanted to please Prabhupada. So
Shamsundar himself admits, I don't know how this happened. This had to be Krishna's hand in it.
And because of their love and surrender to Prabhupada, they were able to be instrumental for his wish, to be.
Yeah, their honor was that they were so completely surrendered to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they were. They really were.
It's actually, even that is hard to understand, that shows Prabhupada's glory, that these people were like willing to live and die for Srila Prabhupada,
Yeah.
Well, I see it's also Krishna is in their heart. And even though we don't hear him most of the times, at that time he put on he started to yell. So we can hear him. And we just did, he told us, follow this person. I don't know how it worked, but I know Krishna, wanted to please Prabhupada. Prabhupada wanted to please Krishna, so Krishna wanted to reciprocate with Prabhupada. And because he's God, he can do anything.
I remember when I was in Prabhupada's presence, I felt overwhelmed with this desire to serve him. And I imagine that everybody else felt that as well. just because he's a Vaikuntha man, he helps us to connect with our true nature, which is servant of God.
Yeah, he must have, because they were so attached to him. They were willing to do anything, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And so Lord Chaitanya's movement's going to be spread all over. It's going to happen, Even this lady who predicted the coronavirus, she also said that the spirituality on our planet is going to grow to unprecedented strength and power. You've heard of the lady who predicted this virus?
Yeah, you mentioned Sylvia Brown or somebody, right?
Yeah, she passed away in 2013, but she's pretty precise. She said 2020, even the year, and a pneumonia-like attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes. But she also said that the spirituality is going to grow to unprecedented strength and power.
We have a devotee friend, Jonathan. I know him since the early 70s when I moved into the temple, 71. And he contacted this psychic. And you can ask one question for free. So he said, what?
Do you know
No, before that. He says, so I can ask one question? And she said, yes. And then he said, that doesn't count as the question, does it? And then he asked, can you tell me who I am? And she said, this is over the phone. He just called in. He said, you're a Sagittarius and you're something else, right?
Always searching and never satisfied.
You're a Sagittarius, always searching and never satisfied. And it was true. And then he said, can I ask another question? She said, no, that you have to pay for.
Well, that's pretty generic, I guess, for a Sagittarius, perhaps. So I'm not
How does
sure.
she know he's a Sagittarius?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
If I tell you, call me and say, tell me who I am, and I tell you what, I don't even know what sign you are, and I know you for a million years.
Right. So I guess she was right.
But he said, well, it's 1 out of 12. But that's pretty good to just say it, 1 out of 12. But anyway, so she was pretty good. People are psychic. People have ability.
Oh, yeah, I believe in.
Probably cheaters.
There are plenty of quacks, but there are genuine psychics. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions about any Krishna conscious stuff that we went over? Okay, we're going to end here. Let's offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone, and are full of compassion for the fallen conditions of Hari Bol, glories to
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.